Yo guys, Crescent here. Welcome to my Magicka Sorcerer build video. Today I'll be showing you two different builds. One is your traditional, typical Magicka Sorcerer all-round good build. High resistance, decent damage, really high sustain, good ulti regen. Just a really typical Magicka Sorcerer build. I'm gonna go through that build quickly because I guess you can just go into YouTube and find all sorts of typical Magicka Sorcerer build. So that is what the base build I want to show you guys. And the second build would be a little bit more interesting. It's called the Bursty build. That's why it's on the title. It's gonna sacrifice a little bit of stats, but you have more bursts. So I wouldn't say exploit, but I kind of like make use of some sets to complement the burst from Magicka Sorcerer, because Magicka Sorcerer is always about timing. It's about your curse, it's about your frag, your ultimate, and then into execute. Usually that is the just a typical combo of Magicka Sorcerer. So that would be really helpful with to add more damage into that rotation, that combo rotation. Okay, now let's hop into the sets. I will show you the typical set first. So the all-round Magicka Sorcerer build that I usually use. The monster we'll be using is Bloodsport, so medium on the head, light on the shoulders, tri-stat glyph on the head with preferably impenetrable trait, and on the shoulder you want to use impenetrable trait as well with a maximum Magicka glitch enchantment. I have divines, which is totally not good for this patch. Okay, so that is the first set, and we will be using heavy on the body with armor master set. And just need to mention that this is a 5-1-1 build, so 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy, so you kind of boost your stats a bit more. Yeah, as for the body, we'll be using the armor master set heavy chest with a tri-stat enchantment, and for the traits it's impenetrable. You just want to use 7 pieces of impenetrable all on the body. You can drop 1 or 2 impenetrable for well fitted in non-CP campaign, but for CP campaign just go for impenetrable. We'll be using the armor master set on the body, legs and feet. So you want everything impenetrable. On the big pieces like the legs, you will be using tri-stat enchantment, and on the small pieces on the armor master feet, we will be using maximum Magicka enchantment. And so we have 3 pieces now. The 5th piece is on our back bar, restoration stuff. So yeah, this is a really typical set for Magicka Sorcerers or Magicka Nightblade, because I kind of introduced this kind of setup last patch after I know that shields are getting nerfed. So I kind of like created this mini build for people that likes to like run higher armor to kind of like make their shields a little bit more tankier. Okay, so we'll be using the restoration stuff of armor master on the back bar with infused trait, weapon damage and spell damage enchantment. So that is what I'll be using on the back bar. So you only need to slot your armor skill, armor ability on the back bar, which is our harness Magicka. You want to use it on your back bar, so you get that boost of physical and spell resistance. Okay, for the last set we'll be using is Ember Plasm set. You can use, there are 3 options. You can use Ember Plasm, you can use Shackle Breaker, but you need to craft the jewelry for Shackle Breaker, or you could use Bright Throat set. I think it's called Bright Throat. Let me just check really quickly. It's basically the equivalent for Bone Pirate set. So it's Bright Throat's boost set. It's just overall a really good set. Gives you 4k maximum Magicka, and gives you about close to 300 plus Magicka recovery after you buffed it up. So it's overall a really good set. So if you are running the Bright Throat set, you want to use tri-stat food. But if you're running Ember Plasm or if you're running Shackle Breaker, you want to use what is it called, the food? Let me check really quickly. Clockwork Citrus Fillet. So those are the... Wait a minute. No, you have to run Clockwork Citrus Fillet even though you are running that, because you can't use food. Yeah, that is really important. Yeah, totally forgot. You need to use a drink for that set, isn't it? Yeah, you need to use a drink buff. Oh, okay, interesting. So I guess you need to run a lot of tri-stat glyphs. Yeah. yeah, that's the downside. If you use Bright Throat, then either you need to boost up your stamina no matter what, because 10k is not enough. So you need to use Tri-Stat Glyph on all of your jewelry, so you gain about close to 2k, and then you boost up some pieces. So basically, if you're using that set, you want to have Tri-Stat Glyphs on all of your necklaces and your rings. That will push your stats to about 12k stamina, which is gonna be enough, I guess. 12k, 13k will be enough for you. Okay, so what I'll be using is Ember Plasm, 2-piece waist and hands, impenetrable trait with a maximum Magicka enchantment, jewelry or arcane jewelries, 2 Magicka recovery enchantment, and 1 cost reduction. Obviously Magicka cost reduction and Magicka recovery. And yeah, so we need the 5 pieces on the jewelry and on the waist and on the hands. The front bar we'll be using there are 3 options. The first one is your typical willpower. So if you don't have master or asylum infernal stuff, you can go for willpower. It's just all around a really decent master stuff. You want to have sharpened trait with shock damage enchantment, or you could use double dot poison will be nice as well. The second one would be, like I mentioned earlier, master's infernal stuff. Overall just a really good infernal stuff for Magicka Sorcerers. So, but the downside is you are forced to use this destructive reach as your main damaging skill. And for the third one, I don't have it, unfortunately. You want to use Asylum. Yes, not the sword, the infernal stuff. If you don't have the perfected one, I wouldn't recommend you to use it, because you need to cast 3 force shock to enable the proccing of burning and concussion and shield status effect. So I don't think it's worth it. But if you have the perfected version, I think this is a really, I would say, a bit underrated infernal stuff set for Magicka Sorcerer, because you can there's no cooldown. The first thing, there's no cooldown for this. So every second cast of force shock, you can just apply 3 status effect on your enemy. So that's so nice. You can like change it to different target easily. So I just feel like this set is actually really powerful, because you get shield, you decreases your and the enemy's movement speed, and obviously you give them minor mayhem as well, reduce their damage. Concussion, you increases the damage taken by them by 8%, which is actually quite decent. And burning status effect is just a small dot. So overall, I would totally recommend you to use this perfected infernal stuff if you have it. But if you don't have it, go for master or go for willpower. Okay, so this is the build. I will quickly show you the buffed up stats. So usually for this build, right, I will be using spell power potions, because I have such high stamina recovery. Is 11k, sorry, 11k, 1.1k, sorry. Such high stamina recovery, so I actually don't need to use Tri-Stat potion unless in like a really difficult situation where I need to dodge throw like 3 times in a row. Then I will use a Tri-Stat potion to boost my recovery, my stamina recovery, and give me a big chunk of stamina. But usually in most fight, you wouldn't need to use it, because your stamina recovery is so freaking high, because of, obviously, we are using Ember Plasm. Okay, now I will just show you the stats. Yeah, you can see here. Yeah, I need to mention though one thing. We need to include, let me just put this guy first. You can see the spell damage is 2k. Wait, I need to use a potion. Okay, now let me just buff up myself with this, and then do this, and then go back. You can see the physical resistance with Bloodspawn is 30k, more or less, physical resistance. The spell resistance is, oh my god, this Mammoth has so much HP. Yeah, the spell resistance is about 2k less, so it's about 29k. your spell damage would be around 2.5k or so. Spell crit is extremely high because of the crit potion we'll be using, so it's about 50%. Yeah, you can see the Magicka recovery is really decent as well, 2.5k with the potion. Stamina recovery is decent, health recovery is decent, stats overall, health is really healthy as well, 25k, 37k max Magicka. On the front bar, health is a bit low because we're not using armor master set on the front bar. And then yeah, overall just a really solid build. Your crit resistance will be higher for this build. You should get about 2.8k, 2.9k or so, because the problem is I have 2 divine straight, so it's kind of shitty to be honest. Yeah, spell penetration is extremely high, 11k. Just overall really powerful set. Okay, the Mundus stone we'll be using is the Mage Mundus stone. Food we'll be using is the Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Okay, so that is for the first setup. I will show you now the second setup really quickly. Let me just change. The build I just shown you is just overall a really solid build. You have so much resistance, so much crit resistance. Actually, you are like as tanky as a heavy armor. So it's people will focus you a lot usually because you are light. People thought you are light armor. I mean, people would think you are light armor sorcerer. You are squishy, but with blood spawn on, with everything on, 30k physical resistance. Imagine that for light armor. It's just, yeah, it's all Zor's fault because they took away something so unique to Magicka Sorcerer and they force you to be tanky with the health and physical resistance, which I kind of dislike. But hey, that is what you should do to make your build strong, so no complaints. Okay, now to the second build. This build is squishier. You won't have that 30k physical resistance or something like that, but you are still decent. I would say for your tankiness it's still decent, but you have such good bursts. Okay, now let's start with the monster helm. We will be using the Mighty Trodan monster helm. So with this monster helm, it's actually there are pros and cons. If you compare this to Bloodspawn will give you a really good physical and spell resistance, okay, and it will give you a lot of what you call that, ulti regen. But for this set, it will enable you to use another slot for this build. So it's a trade-off depending on your situation. Bloodspawn is decent on this build as well, but I prefer to use Mighty Trodan because I feel like I don't need to use what is that skill called, Boundless Storm. I don't need to use Boundless Storm on my bar, so which is really decent. Okay, now medium helm, Tri-Stat Glyph, Impenetrable. Heavy shoulder, Tri-Stat enchantment, Impenetrable trait. So this is our medium and heavy pieces. And the second set we'll be using is our resource gain set. So since we are not using Ember Plasm or something like Shackle Breaker, we need something to sustain. So I feel like Leech is the best set for that, for Magicka Sorcerer. Leech, chest, Leech. You need 3 pieces of Leech on your body, basically. So I'm using Chest Leech, Light Armor with Impenetrable trait, Tri-Stat enchantment, Waist Leech, Impenetrable trait as well, Maximum Magicka, and for the big pieces on the legs, you need to use Light Armor, obviously Leech, Tri-Stat enchantment, and Impenetrable trait. So we have our Leech stuff, Restoration stuff on the back bar, like usual, Infused trait with Weapon Damage enchantment. So that is our third set, and our second set. Our third set would be the good old Chalerion set. So this set is so good on the Magicka Sorcerer, mainly because we will be using for this build we will be using Force Pulse. For the previous build, you can take away Force Pulse and you can use, if you're using a Master Staff, you must actually definitely use what do you call that, Destructive Reach. But for this build, you are forced to use Force Pulse. So mainly because for this set it gives you extremely high crit, so you don't need to use crit potion. For this build we are using Tri-Stat potion instead, so we just have a good amount of resource. Especially stamina is really important because we don't have the 1.1k stamina recovery from your previous build from Ember Plasm, so we need to have a good sustain of stamina. So usually for this build I'll be using tri-stat potion. So we have the crit, 2 pieces of crit from this Chalerion set with a spell damage, and as you read on the 5th piece bonus, when you do a crit damage with a single target ability, Magicka ability. Single target, what is single target? A lot. We have Endless, we have Frag, we have Force Pulse, and the most important thing is Force Pulse, because if you look at our stats, unbuff crit we have 36%, so that is more than 1/3 of the chance when you do a Magicka damage, direct damage, you can proc Chalerion set. So what does that mean? So Force Pulse has 3 instances of damage, direct damage. So every chance you have 36%, 36%, 36%. Basically, is close to an instant proc for Chalerion after you use a Force Pulse. So with that, you can just, I'll show you the combo later, but you can just combo it really sweetly with your Curse, your Execute, your Force Pulse, your CC into ulti or something like that. You can just make it, because it's a proc, it's controlled proc, so you know when it's gonna come out. It's not like a 50% chance, 20% chance or something like that. It's a chance where you do crit damage, and we are gonna do crit damage with Force Pulse almost every single time. Almost. Sometimes you're unlucky, then you're not gonna get crit from 3 instances of damage, but usually you will definitely get 1-time crit. So that's why it's kind of like a controlled proc set if you are using Force Pulse. That's why I like it so much. Okay, now back to the sets. We are be using it on the front bar, flame stuff. Sharpen trait mainly because penetration is good for this build, because it's a proc set, so penetration is always good. I compared it to Nern. The damage on Nern, like I mentioned earlier, for skills is more or less the same, but Sharpen will increase the damage slightly, a little bit more, and definitely more with your proc set. So that's why Sharpen is my preferred choice. The main reason why Nern is actually quite decent on Magicka Sorcerer, I need to mention this as well while I'm theory crafting, when I'm testing everything, is because you gain where is it? Weapon damage, 8% weapon damage from this expert mage. That's the only reason why Nern is actually comparable to Sharpen on a Magicka Sorcerer. Without this passive, no way you'll be using Nern. Definitely Sharpen, but still I preferred Sharpen. Okay, now that is, we are using it on the 1 piece on the hand, 1 piece on the feet, both impenetrable trait, both with maximum Magicka glyph, and 1 piece shoulder necklace, sorry, with arcane trait and Magicka recovery enchantment. And since we are using front bar and back bar sets like Leech and Chalerion, so you only can apply Chalerion on the front bar, apply Leech on the back bar. So we'll be using 2 pieces of willpower, 1 Trinune. You can use 2 Trinune if you want, but I think 1 is enough, so I can adjust because for now Magicka Sorcerers, you need to adjust your health and your stamina, your Magicka and your health to an amount where when you apply your shields, you gain your max Magicka is not too much, so you're wasted, your shields didn't reach the cap of what you have. That's why you need to adjust it. That's why I'm using Trinune for the willpower piece, maximum recovery, Magicka recovery, sorry, and 1 cost reduction. So 2 Magicka recovery and 1 cost reduction on the jewelry, 2 pieces of willpower, 1 arcane, 1 Trinune, and yeah, just 2 piece bonus will give you 1400 maximum Magicka, which is super sweet. One more thing I like about Mighty Trodan for this build is because our health is low, because we are not using Armor Master set, so this will give us about 1.2k health, which is really sweet. So boost up our health, bigger shields. As for the shields, you can see the size of the shields is about 20k. For the previous build is about 19k plus, so I can show you really quickly. So if I use this and I use this, it's about 19.7k, it's about 20k as well. So 20k shields is what you want to achieve for Magicka Sorcerer for this patch. Okay, now to the stats, I'll show you really quickly. The stats is obviously lower on this build. So I do this, I do this, I do this. Let's say I use a crit potion. If I use a crit potion, our spell crit is 46%, which is insane. Let me just get away from this. Yeah, 46% if I use is a crit potion. If it without a crit potion, it's 36%, which is actually really high as well. Spell damage is 25k as well, like 25k, 2.5k as well, like a previous build. And the maximum Magicka is about 37k mark. You want to reach this mark for about 25k health. I can totally recommend you that. Or actually can come up. I can't believe it. Alright. So let me just get away from that monster. Okay. If I use Tri-Stat Potion, because mainly we'll be using Tri-Stat Potion for this build, our maximum Magicka recovery about 23k, 2.3k. Yeah, stamina recovery is a bit low. That's why we are using Tri-Stat Potion. When our stamina is low, we can just gain back a bit more stamina through the potion. And our health recovery doesn't really matter that much. Health is about 25k health, really decent health. And stamina is about 12.5k stamina. Crit resistance is higher on this build, mainly because we are using 7 impenetrable on this build. If I'm not mistaken, did I change it? Yeah, I'm using 7 impenetrable, so it's about, usually you want to hit that 2.8k marks crit resistance. And physical and spell resistance is slightly lower compared to the previous build because we are not using Bloodspawn and we are not using Armor Master, so it's only about 18k. And spell resistance is about 19k. Penetration on the front bar should be 11k plus as well. Yeah, got 11k plus on the penetration as well. The Mundus stone, we are using Mage Mundus stone. Food, the same food, Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Now to the potions and poisons really quickly. For this build, like I mentioned earlier, I'm using mainly Tri-Stat Potion. Sometimes if I don't need the stamina, I will be using this crit potion, so we gain a Major Sorcery and a Major Prophecy. Or you could use a Detection Potion, sometimes it's really good as well against Nightblades. And yeah, Invisible Potion is, yeah, sometimes just to get away from Zergs. You can streak 4 times away, use this potion, nobody can see you where you are going. As for the poisons, sometimes I will be using something like a damage health poison. This is actually quite sweet. If not, I'll be using just the typical shock damage on the front. You could use Infuse trait on the front bar as well for both of the builds for your Infernal Staff. It's really optional. If you want instant more burst, I think Infuse is a bit better because there's lower cooldown, you can just apply the shock damage again and again. But Sharpen increases the damage of all of your abilities, so it's a trade-off. You have to try it yourself, depending on the situation. So it's up to you, totally up to you. For my Magicka Nightblade build, I am actually using Infuse with a shock damage or flame damage enchantment. So totally up to you. Because I'm a Dark Elf as well on that build, that's why I'm using flame damage if I'm not mistaken. Okay, as for what else? The skills now, yeah? Skills. Okay. So there are 2 options you can run. If you play a Magicka Sorcerer, you should know by then. You can run something like a Elemental Drain with Destructive Reach if you're using a Master Staff. If you're not using a Master Staff like me, usually I prefer to use... I sort of dislike the playstyle of Destruction Reach. The main reason is because it's so limited. If you are fighting somebody that has Shield Ultimate or have Wings or have a sword and board that can block quite often, you're gonna suffer a lot because you just can't CC them very often, and they'll just close the distance to you and they'll just pressure you a lot. That's why I feel like Destructive Reach is good in non-CB campaign where people can't block a lot, where people can't dodge throw a lot, where people can't actually use wings that often. Destructive Reach is really powerful in non-CB campaign. But in CB campaign, I definitely could recommend you to use Rune Cage. I know Rune Cage got nerfed because there's a cooldown, there's a delay now. People can still dodge throw and dodge the CC of Rune Cage, but against a blocking target, a sword and board DK for example, it's so good, Rune Cage. And Force Pulse is It's good if you're using something like Elysium or Willpower, or if you're using Chalerion set, like this set I'm using now, you have to use Force Pulse. As for the rotation, skill rotation, I will show you really quickly. Oh yeah, I need to go through the skills first. Endless Fury, Crystal Frag, Force Pulse, Hardened Ward, Rune Cage, Shooting Star, or Dawnbreaker. Depending on the situation, sometimes Dawnbreaker is better against a target that dodge a lot. Against a target that block a lot, Shooting Star is definitely better because you can use Rune Cage. Choices, if you are using Master Staff, mentioned earlier already, you can use Elemental Drain here, and you can use something like Destructive Reach here. That will be really sweet. On the back bar, you need your Curse. This is your flex spot. I use Power Surge for this particular Bursty build, which I'm using the Chalerion set. Streak, Harness, Healing Ward, and your Healing Ultimate. Or if you want to be a bit more courageous, you can use Atronach. Atronach is better against people that are really noob, because they won't tap target you, so you can just use your Atronach to line of sight incoming damage. But overall, Light Champions is slightly better because it gives you more flexibility, especially when you're under pressure. Just pop this, or put your shields on, you will never die. Flex spot here is Power Surge. If you are using the other build that I mentioned earlier, the typical build, you won't be using Tri-Set Potion very often. You will be using Spell Power Potion, so you will obtain Major Sorcery from your potion. So you can drop Power Surge for sure. You could use either Boundless, which is a really good option if you are not using Mighty Trodan set, or your good old Mind Camping. You can just use Mines. The main reason why Mines is really good, if you come to a corner, you can put down multiple Mines. They are all stacked together. Or at the choke point here, just put down Mines. They're all stacked together. When I go through this, they take 5 Mines to the face. So Mines are pretty good as well. Okay, now those are the skills that I can totally recommend you to use. Now I need to find a mob. I will show you the combo really quickly. Yeah, I found one. So what you can do is, like usual, you want to buff up yourself. Unfortunately, I can't stun this mob because, yeah, actually I can. I think I can. Alright, so you want to just buff up everything. Light attack, curse, put your execute, do this execute into Force Pulse, so you can see the Chalerion will proc, and then you put your ultimate, and then you CC them. I actually can't CC this enemy, so anyways, I'm gonna go to another mob and I'll explain it really quickly again. Just make sure one of your shields are up. You don't need to apply 2 shields, just apply 1 shield depending on the situation. Light attack, curse, light attack, execute, light attack, Force Pulse, ultimate into CC, and then into shard. Your shard should be ready by then. Because after you CC, you want to make sure you throw your shard instantly. You want to ultimate first, because Meteor has a delay. And then you want to quickly go into Rune Cage, because you have to use Rune Cage instantly. You can't use any other skill anymore, because Rune Cage has a delay now, so you want to make sure it goes together, hand in hand together. The moment you use ultimate, you use Rune Cage, then only you throw your shards. And then most of the time, if they're under 20%, Endless Fury will proc into them. So that is the combo if you are using Shooting Star. As for Flame Reach, it's the same. You just want to put light attack, curse, and then go into the front bar, try to Endless Fury them first, and then throw a stun into them. Use your Destructive Reach, and then throw your shard. And then, depending on your ultimate, if you are using Shooting Star, you want to throw your Shooting Star first, then stun, then throw your shard, and then most likely your Endless Fury will proc, and your curse will proc at the same time as well. So that is how you rotate your skills. But if you're using Dawnbreaker, it's a bit more interesting. Dawnbreaker, guild, Mage's Fighter's Guild, because Dawnbreaker is a stun. So what you could use, you don't need to use your Rune Cage. You could just go into Force Pulse into Dawnbreaker. So what you can do is, I need to get my ultimate first. Let me just get this guy, get my ultimate done. Okay, I got my ultimate now. So the same thing, you want to just buff up yourself. Make sure you have one shield on you. Light attack into curse, and then your execute, force pause, dawnbreaker, and then into shut. But the shut is not ready, so you just continue with the force pause. Why I want to use ultimate then into shut is because I want to get the stun from the dawnbreaker first, and then I throw my shut to make sure my shut hit the enemy. So if your shut is not ready, like previously I showed you, you want to use another force pause. Another main reason why I like to use force pause first and then I go into CC is because there's a travel time for your Chalerion. Chalerion is not an instant damaging set. It has a small travel time, so you want to make sure it's traveling, and then you stun your enemy, then it will hit your enemy. So the burst will come hand in hand together, and then with the proc of your curse, that will be really nice. So that's about it for the combo. Against multiple enemies, obviously it's not so easy to land your combo because people will stun you and stuff like that. So you always, depending on the situation, if two people are on you, on the left and on the right, hitting, smashing on you, you can sometimes like shoot up, do a dot throw, and then streak through that. That is the most basic to burn some of their stamina. Or if you are using something like if you know your enemy is really smart, you want to outsmart it. If you have runes, mines, sorry, you want to outsmart them by going to a corner and then putting all your mines together, and then wait for them to come to you. So they take a lot of damage, you can just burst them down. It's really good against all melee enemies, so mines is actually quite nice as well. But you can only use mine if you're using the Mighty Chudan set, because you don't have any more slots for mines. It's just, if you're not using Mighty Chudan set, you definitely highly recommend that you need to use your Boundless Storm, because you need that armor, you need your major resolve, major buffs, and then major expedition is actually quite nice as well. So depending on your build, you can switch it around a bit, Mighty Chudan or Bloodspawn, up to you. Yeah, if you're using Bloodspawn as well, you want to mainly focus on using something like a Spell Power Potion or a Detection Potion. That is actually quite important. Now, I think the skills are done. To the CP. Siphoner 19, 51 Warlord, 75 Arcanist, especially if we are using light armor, so Magicka Recovery is really important. 27 Tenacity to help with on your back bar, on your Resto bar. If you use your heavy attack, you gain so much Magicka back, so it's really important to put some into Tenacity. Tumbling 72, 20 Shadow Ward, 51 Elf Bond. If you are using like my build, if you have like about 36% or more crit, definitely you want to put 51 points into this to get that sweet 19%. But if your build has lower crit, you can go a bit lower on Elfborn, because we are not using any crit heals as a Magicka Sorcerer, so Elfborn is actually not that useful. As for different builds, like for example Magicka Templar, you have a lot of crit heals, which is really important. So just get away. That's why Elfborn is a lot more powerful. Okay, now Elfborn 51, 46 into Spell Erosion, because penetration is so important for this build. 49, sorry about that. 49 into Elemental Expert, just to boost up all your damage. It increases the damage of your Chalerion set as well. 21 into Staff Expert, because we'll be doing a lot of light attacks in between. So we are range build, so range build has more reliable light attacks in my opinion. Master Arm 72%, 31 into Shattering Blows. 37 into Resistance, really important, get that 1k crit resistance. 66 into Ironclad, 28 into Thick Skin, 32 Hardy, 27 Elemental Defender, 8 Light Armor Focus. Mainly why I'm using Light Armor Focus is because as a Light Armor build you have higher Magicka. Why is everybody hitting me in this area? So if you're using Light Armor build, the passive, yes, I'll just show you really quickly. You get about 1.8k spell resistance increase. So back to the so we are using just 8 points into light armor focus and 72 in the Bastion. Bastion is a really interesting CP CP3 now, because it really depends on the maximum health you have. If you have 25k health and you have around 37k max Magicka like I have at the moment, 23% is the optimum. Depending on your health, if you have low health, then you have to reduce Bastion, because it's not worth it to run more Bastion more than your health when your max Magicka can supply more armor but your health doesn't allow that. So you need to reduce Bastion, put some points into other trees. But for me, I find my optimum for this build especially, my optimum armor, I can even show you. Health is about 25k. It should be 12.5k health for this armor shield for this build, right? Because it's 50%, you can see here. Hardened watt is 50%. If I use hardened watt, it's 12.445. So times 2 is about 24,890. So that my max health is 24,966. So I didn't reach the cap. It's so near to the cap. That's why it's kind of like a optimal Bastion points I have for this build is 72%. Depending on your situation, if, like I mentioned earlier, if your health is higher, you can go higher for Bastion. If your health is lower, you definitely have to put it lower. 22%, 21%, you have to adjust it to your liking to maximize it. Okay, so that is the changes I have. I think that's about it for this build. I think I covered most of the thing. Just give this build a try. I know Charlerion is it's irritating set to farm, but you can just run it in a normal dungeon. You can just get it easily as well. Just need to ask the mates that are doing it with you, just ask them properly, can I have it? Because it's not a PvE set, people won't use it in PvE, so it's only a PvP set. So you can just run it with PvEers, and most of the time they'll just give it to you because they don't need it. Yeah, I'll just go through a gameplay video. I'll just put some videos at the end of this video depending on what I have. I haven't recorded much yet, but I actually played this build for a few hours already. Just need to, maybe I'll do a battlegrounds and I'll just go through that video. Okay, that's about it for this build. See you guys. Bye bye.